Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Michelle from Michelle's Empty Nest, and today we're going to look at another month in my 2022 One Little Word album and folio. So I am doing a 6x8 album as well as the stitched journal inside of the folio. I did both things last year and I decided I wanted to go ahead and do both things again this year. I like the structure and the order that the 6x8 album brings. I like the flexibility and the looseness that the stitched journal brings. Both of them speak to different parts of my brain, and I just think that it's good for me to challenge myself to go through both types of processes each month. So let's go ahead and look at my inside my 6x8 binder first. So for May, what I put on the front of my transparency just says the heart of my word, and it is like a stitched felt piece. And instead of putting any adhesive on the back that you'd be able to see through, I just stapled it with my tiny attacher. So it's there. And then I kept with my recurring piece of using the acetate Polaroid frame, and I put in the fabric circle that says big dreams, nothing is impossible, and on the back it says one day at a time, and that's a chipboard, and I just stapled both of those in place together. Then for the other 3x4 pocket, this is a piece of just, I think it was regular Basil cardstock, but it could have been a watercolor paper. I don't remember at this present moment, but anyway, it was a piece of paper that I just played around doing some mixed media on, just blending different colors, just having a good time playing, probably 6 months ago. And I just wanted to find kind of some pieces that I had done myself to try to put in here. And so I grabbed this one. The Big Things Happen One Day at a Time was from a Get to Work book, like a little card that came in that. And so I just used a circle punch to punch it out and stapled it in place. And so then when you look at it this way, there's kind of the 3 different black circle-ish items. And I didn't mention, but the prompt this month was a daily practice. So you were to choose a practice that you wanted to do. I say daily. You could interpret it different ways. Some people chose to interpret it as being something that you did maybe every other day or so many times a week, or just, you know, whenever you had the time, but you were going to give maybe 15 or 20 minutes to this particular task as many times as you could a month. Whatever you come up with. For me, I stuck with doing it as a daily practice. That's kind of what it's been like in the past for One Little Word. And so I had this postcard from Brandy Kincaid's Extravagant Hope that says, practice doesn't have to make perfect. And I thought that was appropriate. I thought all of these were appropriate because I was doing something one day at a time. And I definitely am not perfect at making Instagram stories, and that's what I chose for my practice to be, was making stories on Instagram. And I did that because for me it was a big challenge to put my face in front of the camera and speak to my followers every day for 31 days. Now I'm filming this on the 29th, so I haven't done the last 2 days yet, so I'll have to document those or mark off those as they come. So far I've only done 29 days, but I'm confident I'll get the other 2 done as well. But for someone with panic attacks and anxiety, someone who's only been on camera speaking on Instagram just for like a small, short little live one time, it was a big undertaking. It was a lot to bite off, but I did it. I wasn't really sure how stories worked as far as the working it on the back end to get things, linked and added and that kind of stuff. And so it was a learning experience, a growing experience. It boosted my confidence. I cannot tell you how much more confident and comfortable I felt on these last few days of stories compared to the first couple of days of stories. It was like night and day. And I'm sure if you go back, or if you could go back and watch them, stories disappear after 24 hours. And I didn't put them in any kind of, bubble or anything. But I'm sure if you've watched my stories along the way, you probably can sense that I feel more comfortable and more confident in front of the camera speaking. So no matter what I look like, no matter if I put on a hat that day to keep from having to wash my hair or whatever it was, I showed up and did that. So I also put this more progress, less perfection, because that's what I'm focusing on, just making progress for me, not worried about things being perfect. And then for my reason why, this is just a little 4x6 card that you could print out from the digitals that came with the kit or with the class. It says, I want to rise to the challenge of showing up and doing something for 31 days in a row in hopes that my practice will continue long after May. This month I will practice, and I said I will show up in my Insta stories with my face every day this month. And I have this little, I don't know if it was a plus or an X, but I have this little stamp and I've just left it on my stamp block, and every 2 or 3 days I go in and stamp off that I have done my story. So again, very simple in my 6x8 binder again this month, because this doesn't have to be complicated. The time should be spent on thinking about your word and growing in relationship to your word. Not necessarily spending all the time on the documentation is the way I look at it. All right, so in my stitched folio or stitched journal, this time I put a picture of a selfie with a mask on. It's been a while since I've had to wear a mask somewhere, but when my husband had surgery a few weeks ago, the hospital there still required mask on even for waiting out in the waiting room. So I put rise to the challenge of still wearing a mask, because it felt like a challenge to leave it on for the whole time that we were there, after having so many, trips around different places where masks were no longer required. So that's what I put for my selfie, for my monthly self-portrait. And then I chose the word overcoming as my tab this month, because I've had to overcome some fear and anxiety and just, stress about trying to do this every day. And there's been a few days I really didn't feel like it, but I got on there long enough to at least show my face and said I was showing up anyway. So for this page, this is a piece of watercolor paper. I know for sure this was watercolor because I did a whole lot of watercoloring on it. It was actually a lot bigger. And I just did like a sky and some grass. And it was the first thing that I ever really watercolored that was, of a decent size. So I just trimmed it down, and I probably did this a year ago or more. It's been a good while. And so I just trimmed it down. And then I wanted to use this postcard that Brandy Kincaid, she always sends out a little handwritten note. And it says, you don't have to be loud or be in the lead to be brave and bold. And to me, that spoke to this prompt, because I am not in the lead. I don't have the most Instagram followers. I'm not real loud and super lively and obnoxious all the time, but I can still be brave and bold in my own way. And so I thought that was good. And then I put this little fabric patch that says every step counts, and just kind of put those pieces there together. I have my goals that are mostly the same every month. I have not finished my second nonfiction book, but I am working on that. And then the new ones this time were Aunt Pat's visit, Olin's after surgery care, and my stories for 31 days. And so I've got to check off the 31 days, and then when I finish my second nonfiction book, hopefully in the next day or so. I haven't done my reflection notes yet, just because I have not done the 31st day. I want to wait and do that. Typically, I'll go ahead and do my reflection maybe a few days before the end of the month, But with this one being something that was specific for 31 days, I didn't want to go ahead and do that. So I have a little bit left to fill out here. Okay, sorry about being a little choppy there. I had an Amber Alert on my phone and it cut my camera off, and I looked up when I had finished filming and I had to figure out where it had cut me off. So I think I was flipping to this page here. And what I was telling you about this one is that I chose a paper, a 12 by 12 paper from the new Black and White Quarterly Scrapbooking Kit from Ali Edwards. I wasn't really sure exactly when else I would use this paper, but I thought since these screenshots from the stories are a little bit light, and I also had a filter on them probably, or this one, I haven't printed out the other one yet, but most of the time I've used a filter. So it just kind of gave something to ground the photo and just give it something more to pop off of instead of the white paper. So I just cut it to size and adhered it down with my roller adhesive, and then did the same thing with my photo. So this is a screenshot of the very first photo I did on May the 1st. So it says day 1, story 1. And then on the 31st, whatever my last story is, I'll screenshot that, print a photo out the same size, and put another label sticker, and it'll say, you know, day 31, story number, whatever. I did tally a couple of days ago, and I was up to like 545 stories already this month. Some days there's only been 4 or 5. Some days there's been 30 or 40. It really just depends on how talkative I felt, what all had went on, what kind of time I had, all of those factors. But there may likely end up being over 600 stories before this is over with. So that's kind of mind-boggling to me to think that I have posted that many different little snips of stories. So I will probably, what I think I'm going to do is after the video has posted, and then I go back in after the 31st and fill in the rest of this stuff, I think I'll probably share some more just still images over on Instagram of the completed, like the reflections, the winds, and then this page, you know, as a whole completed. So make sure you're following me over on Instagram if you would like to, you know, be able to see that when that post, when I'm finished with it. So that is it for this video. I hope I went back and picked up where the other video left off. If you're seeing this, I did. I figured it out and made the video. So that will do it for today and this month for now. I appreciate you stopping by so very much today. It means more to me than you will ever know. If you enjoyed the video, I would love a thumbs up down below. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate you doing that and becoming a part of my little YouTube family. There are some links down below of products that I use the most often. And other than that, I think that will do it for today. So until I see you in the next video, take care of yourself, do something good for yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.